Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to this information event of the AMVS, the Austrian Medicines Verification Systems Limited. This traditionally updates what's going on, what has happened in the Falsified Medicines Directive implementation in Austria. In the meantime, every June. My name is Wolfgang Andiel. I'm Deputy Chair of the AMVO, and I have the pleasure to guide you through the program this afternoon. Let me first start with some housekeeping things. You will find the presented slides below the stream screen you have in front of you. The event itself is also recorded, so you can have a look also afterwards or forward it to colleagues who might not be able to join us today. Please put all your questions into the chat. We will go through every single question here and will be able, hopefully, also to answer them, of course. So we are more or less ready for our go live. More of that to come at this afternoon. I think this is an achievement AMVS made together with you as our industry partners here, and AMVS should also be seen as a service provider, sees himself also in this role, and please, as you did it already in the past, reach out to AMVS for any technical or other questions you might have. Yeah, so with this, I hand over to Christoph Lendl, the director of the AMVS.
Many thanks, Wolfgang. Also, warm welcome to all of you online from sunny Vienna this afternoon. We're very much looking forward to guide you through our program this afternoon, and I'll briefly introduce the agenda now. So we'll quickly look at the setup of the organization here in Austria. I will talk about our relations and fee models, basically. Then Daniel from my team will step in and talk about coding in Austria, how product needs to be coded. We will briefly show you the alert statistics, where we are in the European comparison and how we're doing, how this has developed over the last couple of years. We have some new features in the system since a couple of weeks, so my colleague Peter will briefly explain them to all the audience online. We'll talk about the EAMS, so the European Alert Management System, very dear to all people involved in FMD. It's really something that will move the project along quite a bit further. And lastly, we will briefly talk about transition of the start phase that we're currently in to the fully operational phase. With that, let me quickly talk about organization. As you know, we have a two-tier system in Austria established. Essentially, we have AMVO, headed by Wolfgang and Alexander Herzog from Pharmic, which basically is the stakeholder organization, which has members of all healthcare stakeholders as participants. We have the wholesalers there, we have the Chamber of Pharmacists, the Chamber of Doctors, we have Generics Association, Industry Association. Those are composing AMVO. We also have a supervisory board of the AMVO, which also features our National Competent Authority. So that's with the governing body of AMVS, which is the operational unit, headed by myself. As you see, we have a team of 8 people. Quality run by Rita, operations run by Peter, together with Tanya, essentially. We have our customer management, so probably most of you know Daniel, who is handling all our industry contacts, but also all contacts with the end users, so with the pharmacists. And we are supported by Madeleine, Sema, Julian, and then we have finance headed by Yasmin. Moving on, I'll quickly show you the landscape that we're operating in here in Austria. We have 284 pharmaceutical companies who are registered with AMVS, composing the total RX market in Austria. That number has been steadily growing, I have to say, over the last couple of months. We had quite a few new entrants this year, and that's very good development, I believe. As you know, we have a two-tier setup in terms of fees here in Austria. We have a fixed turnover fee ranging from 400 euros for very small companies, newcomers on the market, to up to 68,000 euros for the ones for the big pharma companies who have about higher than 250 million of annual revenue here in Austria. We have decreased the fee model last year. A year ago, I was telling you about the decrease that we could announce. We will review the setup again this year, and we will probably take further steps in the following year. On top, we have also simplified the way we deal with the variable volume-based part of the fee, which is basically a very small amount that we're charging per serial number uploaded into the database. Lastly, I'll show you what you see in front of you now is our contractual relationship status with end users. We have the full environment here in Austria connected to the system, so 100% of dispensing agents are connected to the system, split up into doctors, as you see on the far right. 806 doctors have an agreement with with AMVS. We have the wholesalers connected. We have all public pharmacies with a total of over 1,500 locations here in Austria, and we also have the hospital operators. So hospitals are also connected to the system. As mentioned before, we have a 100% connection rate in Austria, which we're very proud of. And with that, I think I'm done with the first intro slides.
Yeah, thank you, Christoph, for the first overview. I have currently no questions in the chat yet, but let me just ask you about the fee model. You said you are going to evaluate further. So what do you think in regards of Brexit, for example, and also changes we will get introduced today, which of course also come up with costs. So we have less shoulders, rising costs. What do you think? How will the development proceed in the fee model?
Yeah, so I'll take that in two steps. So first point on Brexit. So Brexit is something that has been foreseen by our colleagues in European verification organization, has been foreseen in the way that when they started charging fees, it was already on the horizon that something like a Brexit might happen. Consequently, they have been saving up a little bit with the fees that were collected from UK market authorization holders, and those fees are covering all the costs related to Brexit for the foreseeable future. So at this point, we do not foresee that there will be any increases due to Brexit for all other countries in Europe. Secondly, changes that you just described, those are part of our base budget. I mean, we always budget for a certain extent of changes. We do not foresee any major deviations at the moment, but obviously that is something that is up to the regulators, that is up to the stakeholders in Brussels. So in case there are significant changes done to the system, that's something we would need to revisit. At this stage, we're looking at a further decrease probably in following years, but that's still to be confirmed.
Thank you, Christoph. So I now can hand over to Daniel Dangle, who will join us here on stage. He will give you the latest adaptations of the coding rules 4.0. So please, Daniel.
Also a very nice afternoon. As a tradition, I want to start in my first part this afternoon with the coding. The coding rules have been developed together with all stakeholders. The first version was already published in end 2017, I think. Currently, we are having version 4 that is already almost 2 years old. There was no revision necessary last year, but as we will see in some slides, there are some new developments that might need bring the need for a new version within the next months. This document can be downloaded on our homepage. You have the links here. It's available in German and in English, and I want to go through our biggest issues regarding coding. Those of you that have joined the events in the last years might know some of them already, and we want to give you an update on future developments. So, the first thing we want to start to talk about is the ERN 1D barcode. So, as the delegated regulation is effective for some time already, there is no need to print on a 1D barcode on a pack anymore. So our recommendation and the recommendation of our stakeholders is if you bring a new product on the market, then you don't need to print any 1D barcode on that pack as you are using the 2D data matrix code. If you have changes on the packaging material, a new version of the packaging material, then we would ask you to remove the 1D code during this project. As we said, there is no need for it anymore, and also if we remove it from the pack, then no pharmacists, for example, can by accident or by some other reasons scan this 1D barcode and has the 2D barcode as the only code on the pack. The second point is related to the Austrian Pharma Zentralnummer, Pharma Central Number, PZN as we call it. For every product that you market in Austria, you need a PZN. The Austrian PZN is different to the German one. It's not the same. Also, the German one has 8 digits. The Austrian has 7 digits. To be exact, it's 6 digits plus a check digit. This PZN you receive from AG Pharma, where you have to apply for it, has to be uploaded for all products as a national code via the specific market data for Austria. So into the field national code, it has to be uploaded. Why do we need the PZN in the master data? The reason is the pharmacy, for example, but also other end users need the PZN to identify the system in their warehouse software at the point of dispensation when they want to see the product name on their screen. They need the PZN to identify the product, and especially in cases where you are using a product code that is different to the Austrian NTIN. This is for multi-market packs. There is no possibility to calculate the PZN out of the NTIN. So somewhere there must be a link between product code and PZN. And one possibility the end user has to make this link is the so-called lookup, that his software looks up for the PZN in the national system, and so has a link between the product code in the data matrix code and the PZN in the system, so that he can identify the product. That's why I'm sometimes so persistent to have the correct PZN in the system. The other possibility, just to be complete, that a pharmacy or an end user has to link product code and PZN is the Austrian product catalog Warenverzeichnis, where you also have to register your product so that the pharmacy can sell them. There you also have a field product code, where you can enter the product code if it's different from the Austrian NTIN. So this is the second possibility an end user has. And as this lookup solution might be implemented by a software provider for all products, of course, we need the PZN in the system not only for multi-market packs, but also for single market packs, so that this lookup process at the end works for every product that is scanned in a pharmacy, in a hospital, or at a dispensing doctor, or at a wholesaler. And the last point on this slide that you might already know is the character set. This is a recommendation not only by us, also by other NMVOs and also by the EU Commission. The percentage of scanner issues, scanner errors is quite low in the moment in Austria, but we are happy about it. Christoph will tell you about that in a couple of slides. However, to avoid such errors, we would ask you not to use Y and Z in batch IDs and serial numbers, special characters in batch IDs, and small letters in also all the elements, so only capital letters. This at the end saves time and workload for the whole supply chain, not only for us and not only for the end users, also for the OBPs, because they will receive less alerts. And for those of you who still are afraid to remove these characters, I can tell you that all the companies that have already removed them from their character set, they have as beautiful batch IDs and as beautiful serial numbers as they would have if they still would use these letters. On the next slide, maybe something that is new for you, because it's very up-to-date. The GS1 specifications have been updated in March this year, and there are new provisions for the date format. For us, relevant is only the expiry date format, but at the end it relates to all date formats that are used within the GS1 specifications. So the new version of the GS1 specification says that the 00 in the date field should not be used any longer. So only a date between, only a figure between 01 and, depending on the month, 31 at the highest possible day should be used in the future. There is a quite long implementation period until January 25. Currently there is no immediate action. I guess that our stakeholders will agree on that we will update the coding rules by these provisions. I guess also EMVO will also send a notification to all OBPs on these new provisions. If there will be technical measures in the system that will prevent the using of 00, we don't know yet. So currently there is nothing planned, but as I said, we have 2.5 years time. And the last point regarding coding goes a little bit away from coding already, but is still related with the issue master data, so it fits good in this section, is the upload of multi-market packs. We currently see a couple of alerts of packs that are Austrian packs that have the Austrian coding, that have Austria written on the packs, but they make an alert ID that is not issued by the Austrian system. And the reason in most cases is that the product is uploaded to a wrong market in case of a single market pack, or not into all markets in case of a multi-market pack. So we want to make you aware of that if it is a multi-market pack that is brought on the market in several countries, that is marketed in several countries, then the batches of this product and all batches of this product have to be uploaded in all those markets where the product is placed on the market. It is not sufficient to say, well, we have it in one market and there will be an intermarket transaction, so the product can be found anyway via the intermarket query. This is correct from a technical point of view, but as I said, the alert might, if an alert happens, the alert might confuse the end user because it has an alert ID that he would not expect. For example, we have a common pack between Austria and Germany. The data are only uploaded into the German system, but it has a German and an Austrian blue box, and the end user creates an alert. He will receive an alert ID starting with DE for Germany and not with AT for Austria. That will confuse him, and we don't want to confuse end users more than necessary. And also, Peter will talk about this in his part on the technical features of the system. It might have a different behavior, for example, regarding double dispensing. So that's why it is very important that the pack is uploaded into all markets and into the correct markets. And we cannot rely on intermarket queries only. And last but not least, it is a requirement by the delegated regulation to upload it into all markets. And so, of course, we also want to follow the delegated regulation. This is the last slide for my first part. And of course, I'm open for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. There is already one question on this behalf in the chat. It refers to the sentence here, intermarket queries are not sufficient. Just for clarification, if a product with target market Germany is imported to Austria with the okay of the marketing authorization holder, what is the MAH supposed to do in this case? Nothing,
because this is not related to these issues, because here on this slide I'm talking about packs that are marketed in, if you stay with the multi-market pack example, in Germany and Austria. In the example, if I understood correct, it's a German pack that is marketed only in German and is brought by I don't know if import is the correct word, but it's brought into the Austrian market as a German product, for example, for a named patient use, or if the Austrian product is not available in the moment. So in this case, the intermarket query is necessary and is the correct and right way to go on with this spec. This slide is only related to products in an Austrian design. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next question comes to the date format, so the expiry date format. When double-digit month, four-digit year format was used, is this now to be replaced by double-digit date, double-digit month, four-digit year format? Or is it possible to keep using this six-digit format, so month, year, year?
I don't know exactly what the question is related to. We are talking here only about the data as they are uploaded into the system and as they are encoded into the data matrix code. And there it was the requirement until now, year, month, day. Okay. And the requirement stays like this, year, month, day. The only thing that is new is that for day in the future, the GS1 specification requires a specific day, and they do not allow 00 anymore. This is not related to the written format on the pack. This is not affected by...
I think this is clear. Another question on this behalf, what happens with the 00 format after 1st of January 25 for in-market packs? Are there any alerts to be expected, or...?
No. There are no, For those that are already uploaded on the day, there are no alerts expected. What we still don't know, I'm looking to Peter a little bit, is if there will be a technical implementation that will prevent the upload of 00 in 2025. This is something we don't know, but at the end, alerts we do not expect. Also, because the system currently only checks at a verification or decommissioning the fields year, month. So there are no alerts expected from our current knowledge due to this new provision.
Thank you. And then there's a question regarding the N-14 and the PCN.
Okay.
Can we switch from N-14 to our own G-14 as long as correct associated PCN is uploaded as master data?
Not for a single market product. A single market product, this is the provision of the coding rules. A single market product always requires the N-tin. That is what our stakeholders are asking for and what has been agreed on a national level. So the N-tin, you can only go to a G-tin or to the N-tin of a different country if you are placing a multi-market pack on the market.
Thank you. Okay, but before I hand over to Christoph again, it's a question for you here. How does Brexit affect fees for UK companies? In Austria, probably not.
I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer that. Essentially, I mean, if you are a marketing authorization, if you have a representation here in Austria, you would still have a contract with AMVS, and those fees would not be changing due to Brexit. The fee model of Secomet, who is now representing, or the NMVO for Northern Ireland, quite frankly, I do not have full information about, and I cannot answer that question.
Good. Okay. So thank you, Daniel. And now I hand over again to Christoph. He will give us an overview about the alert rate and how we perform in the European landscape.
Thank you so much. So I'll talk you through our statistics on end-user transaction and alerts now for a little while. We first start with the evolution of both alerts, which is the upper right bar, the very small bar in the meantime. And you see the orange column, which is developing also, is getting bigger and bigger, which is the daily decommissionings here in Austria. So what you see is that we started out, if we're comparing January 20, in the year of 2020, we were around 400,000 decommissionings. That has increased up to 610,000 decommissionings per day, which is a very, very good development from our perspective. We're really getting close to having the full market scanning every single pack here in Austria. We're around the 90-91% mark at the moment. If we look at the top bar, which is the number of alerts, you can also see that that has evolved very steadily from having almost 1,000 alerts per day, or more than 1,000 alerts per day back in January 2020. We're now below 100 for the first time in May, steadily declining. 0.007 is the alert percentage rate at the moment, which we are very proud of. We have split here these alerts a little bit further. So you see that there are different categories going from bottom to top. We have double alerts, which are created when a pack is once verified and then a second time dispensed, creating two alerts essentially. We have confirmed OBP errors, which is the green bar that you see, and then we have handling errors, which happens at point of sale, so in pharmacies with dispensing doctors, and we have technical errors where basically data is incorrectly transferred. What we see is that in May, there were no OBP errors at all, more or less, so 60 in the whole month of May, which is a great number. If we look at March and April, the picture wasn't quite that rosy. So you see that in March, we had two instances of major OBP errors. One was connected to an MEH transfer, so a product was going from one entity from one legal company, from one OBP to another one, and essentially data was delivered to the market before that MEH transfer was completed, which is really something we need to avoid. And I may ask all representatives of industry to make sure that we avoid those sort of instances in the future. While it may have been enticing to say, well, we put this on the market, it created massive chaos with our end users. We ended up in a lot of different pharmacies who certainly saw a lot of alerts, almost 300, a lot of phone calls with AMVS, a lot of phone calls in the Chamber of Pharmacists, a lot of phone calls with the related industry players. Let's avoid that in the future. We also saw, and that's problem that we have not seen for a while, but we had in March 2 batches which were released ahead of the data upload into the system. Again, raised a lot of alerts, luckily in a little less places than the one I talked about before. But again, please make sure that when you do your batch releases, that you check that the upload into the database, into the UI hub is already completed, so we will avoid those errors. In April, we also had an instance where we had an incorrect expiry date being uploaded. That was corrected very quickly by the relevant industry company, relevant OBP, but also something to make sure that the correct date of expiry is always uploaded. I've brought, what you see now is AMVS weekly report, a weekly alert rate comparison between all across Europe. And what we see is that Austria is here always on the far right, which is where we aim to be. And together with Slovakia, Czech Republic, Estonia, we really represent the best alert rates that we have in the system currently. Good. That brings me to the end, and I think Peter is now going to tell you a little bit about news in the system.
Yeah, thank you, Christoph. I think excellent performance we show here within the European environment. And now I introduce Peter Berger-Birczek. He's in charge of the operation management of the AMVS and will give you an overview about changes, new features in the system. Please, Peter.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we go a little bit in a technical direction. So, as you know, every system develops in a better way. So this means we are trying on a European-wide base to increase the performance of the system. We try to make it more safe and give the end user the best experience what they can have. So let's start with the release 1.10 of the AMVS system, what was introduced into Austria on the 16th of May this year. We had there some changes, new features, what I want to present to you. We will go on the next slide a little bit more in details, but to have an overview, there's a change about the double decommissioning by the same end user. And there is a new version of the pharmacy interface available, what gives us the chance to give the end user better information about the current status of a pack and enhance a little bit the security by hand over the product name, what you enter in the product master data when you create the entry on the European hub, that this will be handed over to the end user as well. Then on this slide you see as well what is important, that Germany had the rollout on the 7th of June, and as I said, I will explain in the further slides why this is important. Let's start with the double decommission by the same end user. So we in Austria, we said you can try 4 times to dispense a pack. This means export, dispense, supply, whatever you want. You can try it 4 times, so this means the first time is a success. Then you can do it 3 times again. And if you do it the 5th time, then you raise an alert. So we decided that we stay at this behavior in Austria. But what we have done is we restricted this action to 1 year. Before that, it was as long as the system stays alive. Now it is restricted to 1 year. Why I introduced on the last slide that it is important, Germany, that they had a rollout already. When you have done an intermarket transaction as an Austrian end user, like a pharmacy, like a hospital, to the German system, and you have done a double dispense, it was on the second try you created an alert. Now the system changed in that way that you are allowed to do a double dispense within 15 minutes on the German system. So it creates only a warning and not an alert anymore. As I said before, we enhanced the security as well. So every time when a pack is verified or decommissioned, the product name will be handed over to the end user. So this means on the interface there is a new field in it, what contains then the product name, and the end user can see if the product name, what is stored in the system, is the same as he has typed on the pack. We are working on a European-wide solution in that way that this will work in the future as well on the intermarket transaction. At the moment, in the first step, it works only on national level, but I would say within the next 1 year, 1.5 years, it will work as well on intermarket transaction. Then, this is really an important functionality. An end user can check if he can do an undo, better define it that way, if he can set a dispensed pack to active again. In the old times, before the new release, he was able to verify, and the information what he got is that this pack is inactive. Now he will get when he does a verify, if he was the same end user who has done the dispense, and if it is within the time frame of the 10 days, what is stated in the delegated regulation. If both of them are true, then he can do an undo. If one of them is not correct, then he would raise an alert when he tries to do an undo. This is really important for the avoidance of alerts, not necessary alerts. Now I talk a little bit about the Brexit. As you know, the delegated regulation has a little bit changed due to the fact that Great Britain has left the European Union. And so what we had to build in, or what we will build in the system, it's a phased approach, is a differentiation between markets like Ireland, Cyprus, Malta, and Northern Ireland, what are depending on packs from Great Britain, and the other markets. This means Austria, Germany, France, whatever you want. And here there should be a differentiation in that way that all packs that were uploaded before the January the 1st, 2021, there will nothing change. But if they are uploaded to the GB system after the 1st of January 2021, then on the small markets, it will raise only a warning. This means this is a pack from the UK. And in all other markets, it will raise an alert. Here you see the picture from EMBO, what shows, picture tells always more than words, how it will be implemented. So on the left side, you have the small markets on top, the green one. This is Cyprus, Ireland, Malta, and UK, Northern Ireland. And down below, you have the other EU markets, and there is stated that in the uppercase, it should be only a warning and an alert on the lowercase. What is the implementation plan? From the hub side, we are planning to have this implemented in the version 1.12 already in December this year. On the AMVS side, this means on all the national system, the plan is that we have it in spring 2023 at latest. And there is, of course, a change necessary in the AMVS system from the UK. This is planned for autumn next year. Good. Any questions?
Currently, no specific questions to your talking points. Just a technical question. Someone is not able to join the video. maybe switch of the browser could be a possible solution. So what?
That's one option. Yeah, switching the browser.
It's one option. Okay, good. So try to switch the browser best thing. Yeah, maybe just one question from my side to you, Peter, to clarify which product name will then appear on the alert, from where does it come from and what name is that?
The product name will be taken out of the product master data. So this means when you create the entry on the European hub, you have there the GTIN, NTIN, whatever you enter, you have the NHRN, and of course you have to enter the product name. And this has to be the same name as it is stated on the pack.
This is in the responsibility of the marketing authorization in order to be sure that the master data are correctly filled. Okay, so with that, I ask Daniel to come to the stage again, I think. Yes. And of very high interest, Daniel will talk about now the edge to the go live or whatever will happen here. Please, Daniel.
Okay, I just have to do a quick change with the next, because we want to show you, we want to show you a video later on. But before that, sorry, we have it on the wrong position. I think Peter wants to talk about alert management. Sorry for the confusion. Ist das die richtige?
Yeah. So, as you know, there is the European Alert Management System. So I think you already heard about this. There's a lot of communication from EMVO in the directions of the OBPs and MAHs. And there is already a pilot project of this. So this means OBPs, what are connected already to European hub, to the European AMS hub, can receive their alerts and work on them. We, as the Austrian national system, we want to implement the Austrian AMS in Q4 this year. So we will go live with our national AMS system with October this year. There are some restrictions. At the beginning, when we starting with the Austrian AMS, we will only communicate with the industry and, of course, with our national competent authority. And we, as the AMS, will use this as well to manage the alerts. As said before, picture always telling more than words. Why we need this European alert management? It's about communication. What's happened at the moment? If there is a serial number missing, then uploaded a batch, or the batch is not uploaded, whatever, the OBP receives a lot of alerts, the end user has a lot of alerts, and the communication takes place at the moment with emails, phone calls, all this stuff. So what we wanted to implement here is one communication base. So this means if there is something wrong with a pack, then the OBP is informed over the European hub with his AMS system about the circumstance. And in the national AMS, we can have a look on this as well. And if the OBPs clarify the failure, upload the pack, upload the batch, whatever, then we get this information in our national AMS, and we as the AMS, AMVS, or as the national competent authority can close this alert then. If, as an example, an OBP needs a picture of a pack to check if the serial number is okay, called something like a blind passenger pack or whatever, then the OBP can request evidence over this European alert management system. And we, at the beginning, as the national AMS, we will provide you with that information, with that picture. As you can see, in a further step, the end users will be connected. So this means then the OBP can directly ask the pharmacy for a picture, and the pharmacist can provide, of course, a picture of the pack, send it to the OBP, and this within an anonymous, of course, communication. So this means the OBP does not know who is the end user, and the end user does not know who is the OBP.
Okay, so you are now finished.
Now I'm finished.
Thank you. Just a last question. These level 5 alarms from UK packs, what has the industry to do with that?
Nothing. We can simply ignore them.
Very good. Thank you. So now, Daniel, welcome back on stage, and please give us some overview about now the starting phase operations.
Yes, as we all know, the start phase operations, as we call the current phase, has started in February 2020. So in the first year, from February 2019 to February 2020, the phase was called the stabilization period. From February 2020, it's the start phase operations. What does that mean? That means everyone has to follow the delegated regulation. Everyone has to do what is implemented in the delegated regulation. The only difference is that a level 5 alert is not classified as a potential case of falsification, and the pack can be dispensed despite the alert by the end user after a visual check of the pack. For the industry, the start phase operations means that every alert has to be analyzed and feedback has to be given to AMVS. Currently by email, because the AMS is not working yet. The plan was today to inform you on the end of the start phase operations, to tell you a definite date when the start phase operation will end. However, currently there is no agreement between our stakeholders and between the Austrian National Competent Authority, BASG, on a definite end. So for the moment we will stay in the start phase operations. We have to say that we have reached all the target figures that we have set before, so we are ready to go into the operational phase. However, there is still politics that have to decide on the end of the start phase operations. For the time after the start phase operations, so for the operational phase, there are already 3 documents in place that have been approved that describe the process, what has to be done in case level 5 alert occurs. The first document on your left is the guidance on the potential confirmed incident of falsification, published by the Austrian authority and by all our stakeholders organized in AMVO. This guidance gives you an overview on the process, especially on the timelines that you have to follow, or that you will have to follow in case of a level 5 alert in the operational phase. The second document, the guidance procedure in case of suspected process errors, is very close linked to the first document, because it describes how the industry and how the end user can investigate if a level 5 alert is related to a process error. That at the end means that it is not a falsification. We are defining 2 different kinds of process errors. A technical error, that means the data the end user submits to the AMVS cannot be found. That can be either by wrong data submission, or that the data are not uploaded or are uploaded in a wrong way. The second type of process error is the procedural error. This is related to an alert where a status change cannot be performed because the pack, for example, is already in the requested status or in another status. These are the two documents that have been published by authority and by our stakeholders, and there is a third one published only by our stakeholders. This is the instruction on the complaint procedure in connection with process errors. So in this document we are talking about what happens if there is a process error that has been proven, so we have no falsification, but the end user cannot dispense the pack because this process error is not corrected, and describes in which situation the end user will have the right to raise a complaint on a pack that he cannot dispense in case of a process error. The documents are available in German and in English on our homepage. You have the links here. They are approved already. Of course, they will be adopted when we have a definitive end of the start phase, but however, the content will not change anymore. The process will stay as they are described in these documents. So what are the duties of the industry? Some of them are already currently applicable in the start phase, and some of them will come after the start phase operations. Analysis of all incoming level 5 alerts. This is something that is already an obligation in the start phase operations. As you know, hopefully, some of companies, I'm surprised, still don't know that they receive all their alerts via the OBP account at the EU hub, at EMVO. So all level 5 alerts are processed in the national system, are submitted to the end user on one hand side, and via the EU hub to the OBP. The OBP is responsible to either analyze the alerts himself or to pass them on to the responsible place within the company where the errors, where the alerts have to be analyzed. 3 working days after the alert has been raised, where we have to say alert day is for us always day 0, so 3 additional working days after this, latest the analysis of the OBP together with MAH or the responsible pharmaceutical company for the Austrian market has to be completed and reported to us, to our office email address currently. If the process error can be corrected, this is something that will be applicable after the start phase. The error has to be corrected within 10 calendar days. Again, the alert is date 0, and 10 calendar days after the alert has to be corrected latest, if it's possible for the industry, if it is an error that is related to the industry so that they can correct it. If not, then the end user will have the right to complain this pack. Currently, the end user can decide after visual check if he wants to dispense the pack or not. Afterwards, he will only be allowed to dispense in case of a successful decommissioning. In these 3 working days, in the first 3 working days, you communicate only with us, and we hope that we can finish the investigation within these 3 working days, because after the 3 working days, the Austrian authority will also become part of the investigation. So we will inform them every day on those alerts that could not be closed within 3 working days, and then the Austrian authority will also start their investigations, because then we talk about a suspected falsification that has to be analyzed also by the authority. This shows you more on a graphic way how alerts have to be processed. Again, alert is day 0. After 3 working days, we need your feedback on every alert that is created, as far as you can analyze the alert and as far as you have knowledge on the reasons, or you can see reasons for the alert. After 10 calendar days, the alert has to be corrected if it's possible for you. What is a possible correction of a process error? That means upload of missing data or correction of wrong uploaded data. This is not written here, but this is related to the expiry date alert that we have just talked, Christoph has talked about before. Or another possibility of correction is to revert the decommissioning, so to undo the decommissioning if it has been done by mistake, and to make the pack, to revert the status into an active status for the pack again. So what are the current challenges that we see? The first one is maybe the one that has the broadest field, because we have a lot of companies. I don't want to say every company, but almost every company has already faced this issue, that some serial numbers, sometimes it's only one, sometimes it's some, sometimes it's a lot, are missing for a specific patch. Some people call them blind passenger packs, because a pack has reached the market that has not been uploaded into the system. That can have different reasons. For example, it was sorted out by the packaging machine, was put again into the saleable stock by hand, but the serial number has not been put into saleable stock again, or the camera has not could not record this data matrix code. There are several reasons for this. However, they create an alert, serial number not found, and it's very important that all alerts are monitored, because by watching these alerts, we cannot, for every alert, definitively say if it is a blind passenger pack or if it is a scanner error or a processing error by the software. Currently, we are having between 3 and 5, 6 serial number, also blind passenger pack serial numbers that are not uploaded per day. After the start phase operations, the end user cannot dispense the pack if the pack will not be uploaded within 10 calendar days. This is the time frame where we have agreed on that it is acceptable for the end user to wait for this pack. So if what we need in this case is your feedback that the pack is a blind passenger pack, it has not been uploaded, then it is not a falsification case anymore. And we also need the information if, and if yes, when the pack will be uploaded, so that we can inform the end user on this. The second point is what Christoph has talked about, is that batch has not been uploaded. I would also integrate the case where the batch is uploaded with wrong data into this point. That means that no single pack of this batch works. If the batch is not uploaded, if the data related to the spec is wrong, then no pack of this batch can be verified or dispensed successfully. Currently, we're talking about 3 to 4 batches per month that reach the market and are not uploaded. That is not a very high number, but if it's related to products that we have seen on the statistic slides that are dispensed in a very high volume, then we soon, sometimes within a couple of hours, have a very high number of alerts that goes up into some 100 alerts per day. That's why, if it has not happened yet, we would ask you to adapt your quality systems in a way that prevents you to deliver non-uploaded batches out on the market. A very simple way is to do a random verification of 1 or 2 packs in your warehouse or at the pre-wholesaler before the first packs go out and reach an end user. This will, first of all, limit the number of alerts. It will also not bring the system and the company that is behind the packs into a bad reputation. And also at the end, after the start phase, it will not cause a situation where a pharmacy has a couple of packs of the same batch and cannot dispense them. And the last point is alert management. We currently receive a lot of alert analysis by the industry where we have to say thank you. The information is very helpful. The data are currently submitted by email, mainly with Excel sheets or with tables in the email. They are in a very good format. However, those companies that currently are not so far to submit the alerts, that maybe think they don't receive alerts via the EU hub. They might check with the OBP if everything is okay with the alert submission. And for those companies, we would kindly ask to start with the alert management as it is set out in these documents. Especially we have a situation for some companies where our contract partner, the so-called RPC or VPU, the responsible pharmaceutical company, is not belonging to the same company or group of companies as the OBP. In this case, the RPC might not have all information or might not have any information on alerts that are generated on the market in Austria. So there we encourage a strong cooperation between OBP, MAH and our local contract partner. So before we're finished with our presentation, Christoph will talk on some statistic again on what is still missing to go into our operational phase, where our current alert challenges, and then we will be able to watch the video that we have skipped before.
Okay, to round things off, you see in front of you now basically the alert profile of one working day in the month of May, split out. As you know, we had around 100 alerts per day. And you see that we have yellow coded category here, we have green, and we have red. So the green category basically are duplicated alerts, so can be discounted. So in reality, we had around 80 packs which were impacted per day, out of which the next 3 categories are the OBP errors, so the daily blind passenger packs that Daniel has talked about. We have scanner alerts, and we also had other technical errors. Both scanner alerts and technical errors can be fixed by the end users quite quickly. In reality, you change the setting of the scanner, you scan the pack again, technical error probably most of the times is going away. So those are easy to fix. Lastly, we have the ones which are giving us a bit more trouble. We see still decommissioning of free samples, so that is one of the main areas when we talk to the dispensing doctors, when we talk to the hospitals, making sure that the free samples, which are already decommissioned by you guys in industry, in pre-wholesaling, are not being scanned again, and therefore not raising alerts. And we also see double decommissionings on one pack. So those are packs which are scanned in one place, which are scanned at a later time, stage and time, at the second place. Again, this is the biggest area of concern for us in the NMVO in terms of end-user collaboration. So here we're talking to our end users every day, essentially, trying to get a hold of these alerts as well. I think with that, and also connected to the end users, we wanted to briefly show you our latest explanatory video that we have created. This is targeted towards end users, so it's more for your information than something that you will use in daily life. Nevertheless, I think it's good that you know that this one exists. It is already directed towards the operational phase, basically giving instructions to end users how to deal with an alert once the operational phase kicks in. It is in German, so some of you may not understand all the words that you're going to hear now, but the pictures do speak for themselves.
Die AMVS unterstützt die Beteiligten der österreichischen Arzneimittellieferkette dabei, ihren Verantwortungen im Rahmen des Systems zum Schutz vor Arzneimittelfälschungen nachzukommen. So fördern wir das Vertrauen der Patientinnen und Patienten in ihre Medikamente. In diesem Video erfahren Sie, wie beim Auftreten einer Alarmmeldung im System vorzugehen ist. Kommt es zu einer Alarmmeldung, ist die Packung in den Betriebsräumlichkeiten sicher und an einem geschützten Ort so zu verwahren, dass diese der zugehörigen Alarmmeldung eindeutig zugeordnet werden kann. Ihre Aufgaben bei Alarmmeldungen lassen sich in 3 einfache Schritte unterteilen. Erstens, Alarm bemerken. Zweitens, Alarm melden. Drittens, Alarm klären. Nachdem Sie den Alarm bemerkt haben, sollten Sie automatisiert eine Service-Mail mit den Alarmdaten und weiteren Informationen erhalten. Schicken Sie diese Mail nach erfolgter Prüfung unverzüglich an das Bundesamt für Sicherheit im Gesundheitswesen und die AMVS. Der Alarm muss innerhalb von 3 Werktagen aufgeklärt werden. Um einen Fälschungsfall auszuschließen, prüfen Sie, ob es sich um einen technischen Fehler oder einen Handlingfehler handelt. Hinweise dazu finden Sie unter anderem in der Service-Mail. Wird ein technischer Fehler vermutet, vergleichen Sie die Klarschrift auf der Packung mit den 4 Werten aus der Service-Mail. Stimmen diese nicht überein, kann ein Fehler beim Einlesen der Daten beim Scan-Vorgang vorliegen. Stimmen diese überein, senden Sie bitte ein Foto des Codes an die AMVS. Ein Handlingfehler bedeutet, dass die Packung bereits zuvor als abgegeben gekennzeichnet wurde. Überprüfen Sie daher den Beschaffungsweg der Packung. Dieses Video kann die Auseinandersetzung mit den rechtlichen Grundlagen nicht ersetzen. In unserer Broschüre finden Sie weitere Informationen zur Vorgehensweise bei Alarmmeldungen, um Sie bestmöglich zu unterstützen. Auffindbar auf www.amvs.at. Teilen Sie uns spätestens nach 3 Werktagen das Ergebnis Ihrer Überprüfung mit. Zur Abstimmung des weiteren Vorgehens hinsichtlich der betroffenen Packung können Sie sich an die AMVS wenden.
So, thank you, Christoph and Daniel, for this information and for showing us this video. This relates also to a question we received already a bit earlier in the chat in regards of the alert management system itself. So maybe Peter, but not only, it's also for Daniel, the question how we want to prepare, how we will prepare the end users, the pharmacists, for about the implementation of the AMS, especially they might be quite overwhelmed by photo and picture requests from the OBPs once the system is on, and this is before probably they go live. So this is my my note on that. So besides the video, which will be shown after go live, what are we planning to do to prepare the end users?
I think I'll take that. So we will go in a staged approach here. As Daniel and Peter have explained, we will first only connect industry via the EU Hub, obviously, AMVS and the competent authorities. At the same time, we will start spreading the message that this is coming also for our end users. We will probably go with a pilot scenario there as well, trying out with a couple of pharmacies at first. And let's keep in mind, while they may be overwhelmed, we're really talking about a very small number of alerts that we're going to handle. We're already at the very low alert stage here. So it's not like you guys in industry will ask our pharmacists for 50 pictures every day. It's probably more one picture a week or something like that that would need to be handled.
Yeah, and also, for example, if currently we are suspecting a blind passenger bag, we are already currently asking them for pictures, what is sometimes successful, sometimes not. So it's not completely new for them, but at the end it's only a very small number of alerts that at the end will require a picture, because for a Y and Z exchange error or for a pack that has been dispensed on 2 different places, we don't need a picture.
Okay, thank you. So another question is about the end user handling errors. Why must the industry work on them as well?
Because we unfortunately see a very low but constant number, unfortunately, of packs that are by accident decommissioned by the OBP himself or by one of his providers, like a warehouse provider, pre-wholesaler. For example, we had at the beginning of this year, there was an MAH transfer, and the stock warehouse had, of course, the packs in their dedicated storage for the old MAH and wanted to transfer into the new stock for the new MAH. So they had to remove it in the warehouse system for the old MAH, but only for the warehouse system. By accident, they decommissioned all those packs. And of course, it took them longer than 10 days to realize what they have done. So this is, for example, one case where the end user, I mean, it was an error by an end user because it was by an wholesaler, but it's not what we are talking about, double decommissioning in pharmacies. Or we have packs that are set on destroyed by accident. We are currently having a batch where 200 packs have been set to destroyed by accident. So unfortunately, we do not have an argument against our authority to say, well, for the last 3-4 months, we have not seen any alert that has been caused by industry or their partners, so we don't need this analysis anymore. That's why, as long as we have errors in this category, we will ask you for feedback also on this type of alerts.
Thank you for clarifying this. Then we have a nice remark related also with the question. So the AMVS is doing a great job in controlling alerts and keeping them low from end users. Are you sharing your learnings with other countries, like Spain, for example?
Yeah, obviously we are sharing those. So both Peter and myself are very much engaged in the European cooperation between NMVOs. We have to be fair, though, that the settings between countries are quite different. So as you know, we have Spain, as it was mentioned as example here, has this concentrator, which basically makes the work of the NMVO even harder than ours. So we're not always comparing apples to apples. Nevertheless, we're sharing constantly with our peers, also facilitated by EMVO, and that is something which takes place quite a bit.
Thank you. Okay, so there's nothing anymore in the chat. I think we are through with all the presentation slides. So let me then thank you, all the presenters, Peter Berger-Bierczek, Daniel Dangl, Christoph Lendl from the AMVS. Also thank you to the audience for your attention, and especially also to your contribution to make this project here successful in Austria. I'd like to remind you that the stream will still be available. The documents, the slides will be ready for download or are ready for download. Yes, and with that, I have a last question, so and I think I will take it. We have still time enough. So Daniel mentioned a complete batch was decommissioned by error by a wholesaler, and it more than 10 days and it took more than 10 days to realize what happened to the mentioned batch in the end.
As we're in the start phase operation, the end user is allowed to dispense the pack. If he requests after the alert more information, we inform him on the reasons. So currently this is an issue, but it's not, the packs are not lost. For the future, this will be a very big issue because this product especially is also not the cheapest, to say it like this.
Good. So thank you. With that, my last thank you to you and to the audience. We can now close. Have a nice day and see you again hopefully soon. Bye-bye.